Although nearly 60, this man was still only an ordinary low-rank hunter. To make a living, he risked his life hunting monsters every day for pocket change. Then, during one raid, he unexpectedly traveled 30 years back to his youth. He also gained a bizarre skill that could turn artifacts into food. To everyone else, they were ordinary items, but to him, they could become fragrant bowls of spicy noodles and roast chicken. Sometimes the skill produced disgusting meals like cucumber soup with ice water, but if he forced them down, they still tasted strangely good. Other players grinded levels until they collapsed, while this protagonist could level up simply by eating. The story begins with Sangyun, a weathered man already approaching old age. At an age when others should be retiring peacefully, Sangyun wonders what he is still doing here. To him, his life feels like a complete failure. Before the negative thoughts can end, growls echo around him and red eyes shine from the darkness. Though utterly exhausted, Sangyun forces himself upright, grips his sword, and snarls. "You won't even let me breathe?" Giant dragons charge without hesitation, smashing through the cave walls and scattering rubble everywhere. One opens its mouth, filled with razor-sharp teeth, ready to swallow him whole. Players of Sangyun's generation had long been called sword gods and sword saints. But people only called him the old man with a sword, or the forgetful swordsman. That was all he earned after decades of struggle. Memories of the past return, back when the monster catastrophe first began. He vividly remembers someone precious being murdered by a monster before his eyes. Before she could finish speaking, the brutal creature killed her on the spot. Screams for help echoed everywhere. In that moment of absolute despair, the people he loved most were taken from him forever. The world collapsed as monsters rained down and stole everything. Just as death approached, a man in shining armor appeared and cut the monster into 100 pieces with one swing. In that instant, the man was like a ray of light driving the darkness from Sangyun's heart. Because of that moment, Sangyun trained relentlessly and devoted his youth to becoming a swordsman, hoping one day to become as powerful as the hero who saved him. But reality was cruel. No matter how many monsters he defeated, he never grew strong and remained nameless. One by one, everyone important to him disappeared, leaving him alone on a ruined battlefield with pain that never healed. Back in the present, the gigantic dragon boss finally falls beneath his blade. Sangyun collapses to the ground, gasping as his body trembles and sweat pours from him, as though every last reserve has been drained. Yet just when he thinks it is over, another enormous dragon appears, its entire body burning like flowing lava. Before he can react, the beast opens its mouth and gathers a massive fireball ready to incinerate everything. Facing death, Sangyun sighs with burning eyes and chokes out, "Damn it, I really don't want to end like this." Somehow, he still sends the dragon to its grave. His sword drives straight into the monster's head, and the system announces, "Congratulations, you have conquered the ancient dragon nest dungeon." Sangyun feels no joy. He clenches his fist and cries bitterly, "I'm almost 60 and still working this hard." He mocks himself, realizing he remains a nameless nobody in this vast world. While lost in thought, Sangyun notices the reward. A skill book this time. The book glows with a mysterious blue light. He thinks that if he could eat artifacts before, perhaps he can eat this too. Then the system announces that the constellation Late Blooming Model Student has arrived. A young blonde man with glasses appears from a swirl of energy. The constellation blesses Sangyun's hard work and praises his perfect finishing blow. Facing the being contracted with him, Sangyun smiles. "Thank you." He is sincerely grateful that the constellation chose an ordinary third-rate swordsman. However, the conditions for receiving power are absurdly harsh. At level 850, all artifacts and stats double, and at level 900, stats triple. Because of those ridiculous requirements, Sangyun has gained no benefit from the contract so far. This contract is as useful as useless insurance. Level 850, he mutters bitterly. When the constellation urges him to eat the skill book, Sangyun forces a laugh. "I was already planning to. I'm about to eat it now." With determined eyes, Sangyun touches the radiant energy and prepares to use Artifact Devouring. It is the only skill he gained after awakening. To understand it, he tried everything from cooking artifacts to eating them. He even tried frying and steaming them, but nothing happened. By the time those useless experiments ended, 30 years of his life had passed. Now, when he synchronizes mana with an artifact of the proper grade, mysterious blue light envelopes the book. He realizes in shock that Artifact Devouring has finally activated. But he discovered this far too late. Other people became powerful immediately after awakening, while he spent an entire lifetime merely learning how to use his ability. Staring at the book, he roars, "Shouldn't this thing come with instructions? How can this be called a skill book?" The blonde constellation apologizes, saying almost no information about the skill exists, and he cannot help. At this rate, both teacher and student will remain hopeless forever. The constellation comforts him, saying he still has plenty of time and should try synchronizing mana again. Sangyun explodes. "Plenty of time? Who said I have plenty of time?" Tears spill from his eyes. "I'm almost 60. If I had a child at 30, that child would already be nearly 30. If I had one earlier, I could have grandchildren by now. You may not understand because you're a constellation, but humans die quickly." Seeing the constellation's guilt, Sangyun sighs. "No, you said nothing wrong. My life is simply filled with regret." Even now, he cannot forget the hero's back from that day. For decades, he trained with everything he had, trying to become someone great. But cruel reality finally exhausted him. Looking at his aged body, he says bitterly, "I'm tired now. I'm too old. If only I were a little younger." Sangyun sighs and makes a decision after looking at his companion one last time. "I'm retiring. I plan to cancel our contract, so you should find another player." His worn-out body can no longer continue. The moment his farewell leaves his lips, brilliant purple light suddenly erupts. Standing at the center of the chaotic energy, Sangyun is stunned. These become the final memories of his 55-year-old life. The system announces, "Late-blooming model student has maximized the essence you contacted." A dazzling message appears, confirming that an impossible regression has begun. On television, reporter Park Dong-min hosts a discussion about the working environment of awakened players. Opposite him sits Han Wai-jong, executive director of Han Group. Asked about the nature of players' workplaces, she calmly says, "Yes. You can view dungeons as a platform for players." She explains that gates are other dimensions connected to unknown regions that players must pioneer and explore. In a small room, Sangyun now appears as a young man with messy black hair, watching the interview while twirling a dagger. He smiles. "It's been a long time since I saw this program." Even after 4 days, he is still confused by reality. Taking a deep breath, Sangyun confirms it again. He has returned 30 years to the prime of his life. When he first woke, he found himself in his own apartment from 3 decades ago. He is no longer in the body of a 55-year-old man, but his powerful 25-year-old body, with all memories from before the regression. The only possible explanation is the constellation's magic. Still slightly confused, he tells himself, "Whatever. I should go outside and work." In his hand is Venom's dagger, a bronze-grade artifact he was lucky to possess at this time. Its grade is low, but he knows its hidden skill. Mana flows as the system states that the absorption rate of a bronze artifact is 10%. Thanks to his past appraisal, the rate gains an additional 20%. The absorption rate remains low because he has not used it for long, but the hidden skill is what matters. Mana synchronization with Venom's dagger begins, drawing him into a subconscious space. This special space must be cleared before he can eat an artifact. He always feels nervous here because he never knows what food will appear. From the brilliant light, a tray of steaming food appears. Absorption preparation is complete, and before him sits fragrant barbecue chicken with olive oil. He sighs in relief that it is normal food. He had feared something like a swamp centipede. Excited, he grabs a chicken leg and takes a huge bite. The system announces that absorption of Venom's dagger has begun. He gains speed +2 and the hidden skill Ghost Step. The dagger shatters into countless blue fragments, and a warning confirms that the fully absorbed artifact will disappear forever. Sitting on the bed, Sangyun sighs with relief. Though slightly regretful that the weapon was destroyed, he tells himself he never used it anyway. Smiling confidently after obtaining the useful skill as expected, he says, "I should go." In a busy district, a massive dungeon gate radiates brilliant blue energy. This is Dungeon 85, controlled by Yoon Dekyung's team. A middle-aged man in a blue uniform runs over and calls for Captain Yoon Dekyung, a tall man in silver armor. Glancing at a tablet, Dekyung asks why the gatekeeper captain came personally. The nervous man reports that a recruit named Shin Sangyun, who joined 4 days ago, has been taken away. Dekyung calmly replies, "Don't worry about Shin Sangyun. He was transferred to the player team." The gatekeeper captain is shocked. He joined the player team, not the gatekeeping team? Dekyung arrogantly confirms that he approved it and asks whether there is a problem. Though terrified, the captain argues that Sangyun awakened only recently and has not even graduated from the player academy. Putting someone like him on the team will seriously disrupt balance. Dekyung suddenly approaches with a threatening glare and repeats the man's title until he trembles and can only agree. Dekyung continues pressuring him with a sinister smile. "Didn't I say I handled everything?" The captain apologizes awkwardly and leaves. Watching him go, Dekyung scoffs that gatekeepers talking about balance is ridiculous. When a blonde subordinate asks why he accepted a beginner like Sangyun, Dekyung reveals his cruel plan. If someone must die, it will be him, not us. Sangyun is merely cannon fodder. Only after causing trouble and dying will the gatekeepers stop complaining and Dekyung's team preserve its value. Yoon Dekyung sneers. What can a level 1 fool do? His subordinate laughs along. At that moment, Sangyun arrives with a heavy sword on his shoulder and announces, "Hello. From today, I will work as a player. My name is Shin Sangyun." Seeing the murderous and contemptuous looks around him, Sangyun thinks that everyone is showing their true intentions. Although he expected hostility, Sangyun is surprised they do not even hide it. The moment Yoon Dekyung sees him, his attitude changes and he pretends to welcome him warmly. "Our rookie has finally arrived. Shin Sangyun, right? Nice to meet you. I thought you would be late on your first day as a player." Then his eyes stop on the weapon across Sangyun's back. "Is that a great sword?" Sangyun scratches his head and smiles innocently. "Yes, I learned from many YouTube videos." Dekyung pats his shoulder condescendingly. "A great sword is one of the hardest weapons to use." Sangyun says he will try to protect himself and asks them to trust him. Dekyung laughs loudly. "Good spirit. A man should have confidence like me." Dekyung orders the entire team to begin conquering the dungeon. The large group enters the brilliant blue gate together. Once inside, someone reminds everyone to stay near the gate. While the other members excitedly bet on who will kill the most monsters, Sangyun silently follows behind. Yoon Dekyung glances at him with cold contempt. He learned from YouTube? What a joke. Does he think a dungeon is a game? He became arrogant just because he awakened as a player. He must want to die. He is certain a rookie like Sangyun will soon pay the price. Ogres are known as the rookie's wailing wall. He'll learn his place soon. But shortly afterward, Dekyung's sinister smile vanishes completely. Sweat pours down his face as he stares ahead in absolute shock. Corpses of ogres cover the ground. Dekyung can only stammer. "This is insane." Sangyun stands among the wreckage and monster bodies, surrounded by deep blue mana. Dekyung trembles. What kind of monster is he? What did I just witness? Ogres are creatures people know from games, novels, and films. Because their image is so familiar, many assume they are weak. Compared with legendary monsters like dragons, they are indeed simple, stupid, and brutally aggressive. That prejudice makes new players arrogant enough to charge ogres without thinking. One eager warrior rushes forward, shouting, "I'm coming." He immediately screams when an enormous green hand grabs his head. Ogres average 250 centimeters tall and weigh around 180 kilograms, giving them overwhelming physical strength. That difference turns them into nightmares for inexperienced players, which is why they are called the Wailing Wall. Back inside the dungeon, a cold, black-haired hunter turns and warns, "Shin Sangyun, you won't receive special treatment because you're new. From now on, take care of yourself." He looks down on Sangyun, thinking the newly awakened boy is arrogant for acting like a real player. Sangyun only scratches his head and forces a smile. "I'll do my best." He privately notes that no one treats rookies kindly. The man keeps shouting, "Don't merely try. Do it properly." Despite the pressure, Sangyun's gaze becomes sharp. He calmly asks, "Then may I fight on the front line if monsters appear?" The sudden question shocks the man. "Are you insane?" At that moment, someone screams that an ogre is approaching. A huge green monster with bulging muscles and a massive axe appears. Shin Sangyun smiles faintly. This is his first battle after regression. He starts forward, but Yoon Dae-kyung rushes past first and blocks the monster's crushing axe with a large shield. A teammate turns and yells at Sangyun. Are you insane? You're too slow. How are you supposed to use a greatsword like that? Sangyun answers calmly, you don't need to help me. The reply makes the man angrier. Then stop talking and prove your skill. Sangyun says, all right, look in front of you. The man begins another insult, but immediately goes silent when the axe whistles toward him. A massive explosion shakes the dungeon as Dae-kyung struggles to block it. He roars, did you two come here to play? Dae-kyung orders his subordinate back and confronts the monster alone, making the team behind him admire his courage. The ogre roars and charges, but Dae-kyung remains calm. He says coldly, this is nothing, then thrusts his sword straight through the monster's chest. The ogre groans and falls. The team cheers. Amazing, Captain. He pierced its heart. Is it dead? But the monster has not fallen for good. Its eyes glow red as it roars and slams the giant axe down, shaking the ground. Dae-kyung realizes his mistake in horror. He failed to kill it. Sangyun quietly watches and evaluates him. Although Dae-kyung is the highest level player here, level 50 is still not enough to reliably land a fatal strike on an ogre. Dae-kyung curses and struggles against the crushing blows. After a fierce exchange, he gathers all his strength and thrusts decisively. Die! The monster finally collapses, and the team erupts in cheers, praising their captain for killing an ogre alone. Dae-kyung pretends to be calm despite being drenched in sweat. It was nothing. Is everyone all right? His followers continue praising how dependable he is. But just as he orders the team forward, another thunderous roar freezes everyone. From the darkness, a pack of red-skinned high ogres in armor approaches with glowing eyes and killing intent far stronger than the previous monster. The team panics. Armored high ogres? Captain, what do we do? Dae-kyung loses all confidence and awkwardly suggests retreating for safety. He barely handled one ogre and now faces an entire pack. At that moment, Sangyun steps forward with the great sword on his shoulder. May I try? Everyone is stunned. Dae-kyung shouts that Sangyun has lost his mind, while another member apologizes for failing to train the rookie properly. Dae-kyung tries to stop him, but Sangyun flashes past before he can finish. Dae-kyung screams, you'll die. Ignoring the warning, Sangyun leaps into the air and splits a red high ogre in half with one thunderous blow. The greatsword cuts the monster like firewood. His teammates stare in disbelief. A huge high ogre has been bisected with a single strike. Sangyun is not satisfied. Is it because I'm still level 1? That strike wasn't as smooth as I wanted. His status confirms he remains level 1 with little experience. Another ogre roars and charges. Sangyun swiftly dodges and raises his greatsword. My level may be low, but I have plenty of experience. He spins through the monsters, unleashing brutal, precise slashes that leave them unable to resist. Moving like a ghost through the pack, Sangyun prepares the finishing blow and asks, do you know? A powerful vertical slash instantly kills the enemy. Do you know how many monsters like you I killed when I was young? The other players tremble. Is that really Shin Sangyun? He might kill all of them. Standing among the corpses, Sangyun looks at the last enemy and says coldly, you're the final one. Then a gigantic armored ogre with red skin and heavy armor blocks his path. It roars and swings a massive spiked club, shattering the ground. Sangyun calmly glides aside, his blue eyes shining. He slashes its neck, but sparks fly without leaving a wound. Dae-kyung screams, its hide is too thick. Your attack didn't work. The ogre swings a huge fist at Sangyun's head. Sangyun smiles arrogantly. Don't panic. The system announces the activation of the hidden skill Ghost Step. It interrupts the target's attack for 2 seconds, freezing the gigantic ogre in place. Sangyun walks behind it and says coldly, yes, stay exactly like that. This position makes chopping easier. The ogre struggles helplessly. A devastating slash kills it instantly. Yoon Dae-kyung and the entire team stand frozen among the corpses, unable to understand what they witnessed. Dae-kyung cannot believe Sangyun awakened only 3 days ago. Ghost Step is an extremely rare advanced interruption skill. Famous players can freeze targets for only around 1.5 seconds, yet this rookie used it perfectly. He also handles the greatsword like a master. Dakyung even wonders which YouTube video Sangyun watched. Grinding his teeth, Dakyung wonders where a newly awakened player obtained such a high-level skill. Sangyun looks around calmly and asks, "Is that all?" The system congratulates him on leveling up. He also qualifies for the title Brave Puppy, which grants 5 additional evasion points. Sangyun is pleasantly surprised by the title and bonus effect. When informed of one unused stat point, Sangyun already knows where to place it. In his previous life, he learned the importance of stat allocation too late. He raises luck to 11 because it directly affects skill accuracy and item drop rates. Yin Dakyung approaches suspiciously. "Are you truly Shin Sangyun?" He questions Sangyun about Ghost Step and where it came from. Unable to reveal the regression, Sangyun laughs awkwardly. "I had it from the moment I awakened." Dakyung explodes. "Do you realize how absurd that sounds?" He demands the truth and notices the greatsword glowing with blue mana. He suspects Sangyun was lucky enough to obtain a diamond-grade artifact or something even higher. Seeing him stare, Sangyun offers the sword. "Would you like to inspect it yourself?" Dakyung takes it and is shocked to see the stats of an ordinary greatsword with only 50 attack and no special effects. "This is really a normal greatsword?" Dakyung asks. Sangyun replies, "I told you." Humiliation fills Dakyung. He has raided dungeons for 2 years and reached level 50, yet his skill is inferior to Sangyun's. He also begins worrying about how rewards will be divided. A team member runs over. "Captain, the mid-boss has appeared." At the end of the corridor, a gigantic spiked monster emerges. Dakyung regains his stern expression. "Let's go." As they move, he warns Sangyun not to become careless. His useful interruption skill will not work against the demon ogre ahead. Sangyun suddenly remembers why he returned to this team. When Sangyun stops, Dakyung smirks. Scared now. Before he can continue, Sangyun looks directly into his eyes and makes a bold proposal. "If I kill the demon ogre alone, may I take its artifact as my reward?" Sangyun smiles confidently, leaving Dakyung stunned. He knows the team's rules. Rewards are divided by contribution. The red stone is a rare artifact dropped only by the demon ogre. Even after killing hundreds of demon ogres, the drop rate remains extremely low. Sangyun remembers that in his previous life, after his team failed, another hunting party was lucky enough to obtain one. People celebrated and discussed how much the treasure would sell for. But Sangyun cared not about money, but the unique delay effect attached to the artifact. It is exactly the skill he needs now. Back in the present, Sangyun stands before the dungeon with the party. Since loot is divided by contribution, he asks confidently, "If I kill that monster alone, there should be no problem, right?" The arrogant request from a rookie immediately creates tension. Sangyun knows experienced players despise cocky newcomers and will not take him seriously. The team members shout, calling him insane and accusing him of becoming arrogant after killing a few monsters. The brown-haired captain unexpectedly cuts them off. Let him do as he wants. He sets a condition. Sangyun must enter and kill it entirely by himself. Sangyun thinks the agreement is easier than expected and confirms. "So I stay out of your battle first?" The captain turns away angrily, furious that a rookie relying on one cheat like skill acts so arrogant. He leads the team inside, determined to prove that real combat experience decides everything. The heavy stone door opens into a vast chamber. A system message confirms that they have entered the mid-boss room. Torches ignite along the path, revealing the bloodthirsty demon ogre, a huge dark green creature with long savage horns. The captain raises his shield and orders everyone to prepare. Based on purchased information, the captain believes the monster only looks frightening and should be easy to defeat. He orders the party to surround it and attack from behind, privately mocking Sangyun's plan to fight alone. "I'll lead," he shouts. The party charges, but a violent impact immediately sends the captain flying, his face covered in blood. Watching from behind, Sangyun sighs at their foolish frontal charge. This is exactly why they failed in the previous life. The monster advances as the subordinates panic. They beg the captain for instructions. Kneeling in pain, he realizes the black market information was false and orders a retreat. Then he looks up and is stunned to see Sangyun still standing there. Seeing Sangyun smile calmly, the captain shouts angrily and orders the team to flee along the flank, exploiting the monster's limited vision. He warns Sangyun that if he dies, he must not blame the team. Sangyun answers only with a sharp, mysterious gaze. Gripping his sword, Sangyun replies calmly, "Don't worry. I won't die today." The demon ogre roars and swings its massive axe with crushing force. Sangyun knows his basic stats cannot match it, but he possesses decades of combat experience from his previous life. Steel crashes as Sangyun blocks the 1,000-pound strike. From afar, the captain is stunned that he actually stopped the axe. Sangyun stares at the glowing red stone in the monster's chest. Long time no see, red stone. Combining its delay effect with Ghost Step would create the perfect combination. Ghost Step normally stuns for only 2 seconds, but Artifact Devouring allows him to combine effects. With delay, he could create a nearly endless stun chain. Sangyun smirks. "What are you waiting for? Come at me." The monster roars and attacks repeatedly. Sangyun becomes excited. Good. That's what I wanted. He skillfully slips through the narrowest gaps between the deadly axe swings. Only under such aggressive attacks can he expose the enemy's weakness and thrust into its side. The huge axe strikes down, shaking the entire room. Sangyun activates level 1 Ghost Step, stunning the demon ogre for 2 seconds. The distant captain cannot believe the skill even affects a mid-boss. Sangyun knows this is a true demon ogre and cannot be underestimated. Then strange purple energy begins surrounding its body. The system announces that the monster activated self-recovery and escaped the stun early. Ghost Step now has a 15-second cooldown, which is why Sangyun wants delay so badly. If control fails, he must defeat it directly. The monster roars and attacks relentlessly. Metallic crashes echo as Sangyun confronts its overwhelming power. The frightened subordinates urge their bloodied captain to flee. The captain cannot understand how Sangyun remains calm despite losing the stun advantage and facing a huge stat difference. Sangyun's confident smile drives him mad. How can he still look like that? Is he truly a rookie? Sangyun looks into the monster's eyes and says calmly, "Shall we finish this?" He remembers that when weaker than an opponent, the only solution is to concentrate all power at one point. Instead of cutting through thick skin, he uses the monster's own force to create a fatal counterattack. Sangyun delivers the decisive strike, shattering the monster's axe. The system congratulates him for defeating the demon ogre mid-boss. Level-up messages flood the screen. He also gains the E-rank title Demon Hunter, increasing recovery 5-fold against mid-bosses or stronger enemies. Sangyun relaxes, surprised that solo play has already earned him 2 titles. Behind him, the hunters remain frozen. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Sangyun decides to act. He pretends to collapse from exhaustion. "I almost died." Turning toward the party, he performs convincingly. "Without the captain's earlier damage, I don't know what would have happened." The subordinates stare in confusion. Sangyun gives the captain a meaningful smile. He is offering him a chance to preserve his dignity. Seeing the glowing red stone, the captain understands. Though bitterly aware of his failure, the captain keeps his promise. He orders the team to prepare for the final boss, and the members quickly obey. After the hunters leave, their whispers insist no rookie could have killed that monster alone. Sangyun smiles. "Now that the audience is gone, why don't I try eating you?" Before him is the rare silver artifact Crimson Stone, granting delay plus health and strength. Entering the subconscious space, Sangyun begins the familiar absorption ritual. This time, a beautiful bowl of spicy cold noodles with jellyfish meat appears. Sangyun marvels at how perfect the combination looks. When the system asks whether he is ready, Sangyun picks up noodles and meat. Absorption begins. A silver artifact grants 20% base absorption, adding 2 strength and 2 vitality. The delay effect appears and can be integrated into one of his skills. Though oddly nervous, Sangyun binds it to Ghost Step. The system confirms that delay has been added. If Ghost Step is used again before the first stun ends, a second, longer stun may trigger, with a significant chance of further extensions. Back in the dungeon, Sangyun exclaims, "A 4-second stun?" He is delighted that his prediction was correct. Yundekyung approaches. "Can we talk?" He points ahead and says the final boss room contains the Berserk Ogre. Sangyun asks whether Dekyung wants him to join the fight. Dekyung firmly says yes. If I cannot use a member like you properly, I am a failure as captain. Fight with us, Shin Sangyun. Sangyun smiles, but reminds him that his condition remains unchanged. Dekyung agrees, and they shake hands. When the team reports that they are ready, Sangyun says, "Then let's go." Dekyung warns everyone to remain alert. Sangyun notices a cold look and wonders whether the captain has deceived him. The party enters Dungeon 85's most dangerous area. A thunderous roar announces the Berserk Ogre, a gigantic gray creature covered in strange tattoos and carrying a massive spiked club glowing red. Dekyung tells Sangyun to follow closely while he goes first. Sangyun silently draws his great sword and analyzes the enemy. Knowing the Berserk Ogre has lower skill resistance than the Demon Ogre and is easier to stun, he decides that if he remains calm, there should be no problem. Sangyun swiftly dodges the monster's club. Memories of humiliation return. Sangyun once lived in constant fear and had to beg parties for a position, only to be rejected because his level was too low. Determination burns in his eyes. He cannot live that life again. His greatsword collides with the monster's weapon as he vows to change both his weak past and future. To do that, he must demonstrate overwhelming strength to everyone here. Dekyung watches in shock and calls him a monster. Sangyun lands a brutal slash and shouts, "It will be stunned for 4 seconds. Attack now." The system confirms Ghost Steps activation. The party charges together. The immobile boss receives attacks from every direction until it finally falls. The system congratulates them for defeating the Berserk Ogre and completing the Ogre Temple dungeon. The party is shocked by how easy it felt and notes that no one even used a potion. Dekyung privately admits Sangyun's stun made everything easy. When Sangyun looks at him, he awkwardly says, "What? I need to make a living too." Sangyun smiles bitterly at the captain's rapid change in attitude. More level-ups arrive, along with the title Overwhelming Strength, which increases status effect duration by 10%. Sangyun realizes his stun now lasts 4.4 seconds. He remembers never earning a title in his previous life. Yet this is still nothing compared with Daung, the legendary magic blade, who possessed titles such as Title Collector and Perfect Sword. Only 2 years after the player era began, Daung Su reached level 500. Before Regression, Daung was the greatness Sangyun always admired. But his goal has changed. I will catch up to him. If he accelerates from now on, he still has a chance to reach the top. While stretching for his next plans, Yun Dekyung interrupts. "What are you doing?" After Sangyun says he is stretching, the bloodied captain smiles and offers him an unexpected gift. "You did well. Take it." Seeing the glowing item, Sangyun blurts, "What? Are you possessed?" Dekyung says Sangyun carried the team, and he is fair. Because it is only bronze grade, he can afford to be generous. "If it were expensive, I would never give it to you." With a meaningful smile, Dekyung says farewell. "I'm giving it to you because we probably won't meet again for a long time." Sangyun accepts the gift. From afar, the blonde teammate burns with jealousy. He cannot accept that the captain favors Sangyun after only a few impressive moments while ignoring his years of loyalty. Jealousy choking him, he calls a mysterious power. Meanwhile, at his small home in Songpa district, Sangyun is thrilled by the payment he received. He smiles brightly. "Yes, this is why I became a player." His phone shows 6 million won from Yun Dekyung, twice the normal share and far beyond his old delivery income. But the greatest reward is the bronze Berserker ring, granting strength plus 10 and the rare lightweight effect, which consumes 1 mana per second to reduce all equipped items to 1 gram. He quickly understands why it is only bronze grade. Most players would run out of mana before swinging a sword, making the ring a double-edged weapon. But Sangyun is different. After 50 years of experience, he finally understands his ability. In the previous life, he also absorbed mana-consuming items and obtained shocking results. When an absorbed relic has a mana-consuming special effect, it creates a drawback, but the effect no longer consumes the user's mana. Sangyun does not care about disadvantages because more skills are always better. Mana erupts as he begins synchronizing with the Berserker ring. Meanwhile, tension rises in a private Gangnam club. Yun Dekyung's blonde subordinate desperately tells a frightening group, "I'm not lying. That bastard can stun for 4 seconds." A deep voice warns him to lower his tone, and the blond man immediately apologizes. A muscular, scar-faced man asks, "So what? You want me to take revenge for you?" He suspects Sangyun may possess a stun relic. The blond man proposes cooperation, complaining that Kyung favors Sangyun too much. A woman beside the boss mocks the blond man as a loser seeking revenge. The boss suddenly calls him over and strikes him brutally. The room fills with screams. The boss roars, "Who do you think we are? Your subordinates." He pours alcohol over the injured blond man and orders him to name a price if he wants them to listen. Smiling sinisterly, the boss asks, "Where is that bastard?" At training ground 4-3 in Jamsil, Sangyun collapses on the steps and sighs. Who would have expected the berserker ring to become cold eastern cucumber soup? Staring at the horrifying bowl, he feels his stomach dancing from the terrible taste. Yet at the end of the tunnel comes light. Sangyun smiles meaningfully at the great sword in his hand. He throws the enormous sword into the air and catches it elegantly with one hand. The old heaviness is gone. It's much lighter. The system announces that lightweight is permanently active without mana cost. Sangyun thinks the awful soup was worth it. The mana penalty has vanished, while the effect is halved. All relics he uses now weigh only 100 grams. Satisfied that he can use the greatsword long-term, Sangyun opens his status window. He is now level 7 with the overwhelming strength title and Artifact Devouring, which has consumed 3 items. With luck at 16, he decides it is time to attract constellations. Since each player can contract with only one, he must choose carefully. Sangyun wants an entity that matches his strongest stat, luck. But standing alone in the training ground, he sighs that he is not yet impressive enough for such great beings. Setting ambition aside, he focuses on practicing with wooden dummies. After 3 days of insane training, Sangyun steps from his car utterly exhausted. He complains that 3 continuous days of training and a long drive nearly killed him, though at least he gained a new skill. The passive level 1 two-handed swordsmanship increases compatibility with all swords, including daggers and greatswords. Before him is Dungeon 101, reserved for solo players. To obtain access, Sangyun waited an entire month. As he prepares to enter, his sharp eyes notice a black car following him through the forest. Who would follow me all the way through this forest? Though uncertain of their motive, Sangyun remains calm. Whatever it is, I'll enter the dungeon and settle it there. As soon as he passes through the blue gate, people quickly follow. The scar-faced leader smiles sinisterly. Isn't this supposed to be a solo dungeon? Deep inside the cave, Sangyun sits beside his greatsword as if waiting. Don't tell me you entered the wrong dungeon. His gaze sharpens. This place is mine. The leader calls him an idiot as the group surrounds him with bows and blades. Sangyun draws his sword and analyzes them. This is not a normal dungeon party. He gives a final warning. I won't report you. Leave now. Their formation has no healer or mage, only heavily armed swordsmen and archers. He realizes they are the hyena team, killers who hunt players for loot. The large swordsman laughs, while the leader says no one can even recover Sangyun's corpse if he dies here. Sangyun remembers that the player association eventually hunted this group down. Looking at the bespectacled archer, he identifies the ranged fighter as the greatest threat. The archer orders the team to kill Sangyun quickly. Sangyun remains calm. This is exactly why I waited for you. We're better to dispose of 4 bodies than inside a dungeon. You jumped into your own graves. The large man draws his blade in fury, but the scarred leader stops him. Keep it simple. I'll tear his mouth apart. Sangyun laughs. What an obedient dog. Come on. Stop wasting time. The leader begins threatening him, but the impatient large man charges first. Sangyun moves with cold, unwavering eyes, remembering the dungeon's harsh truth. Only the fit survive. Monsters threaten every player's life, while treasures tempt everyone. Weakness means death. No law exists inside dungeons. Killing is often the only way to survive. This hard-earned lesson from his previous life remains valid. After killing the first attacker, Sangyun plants his sword and says coldly, "Everything here was self-defense." He looks at the others. What are you waiting for? Come. The hunt reverses as he attacks at terrifying speed. The hyena leader orders everyone to keep their distance. The archer behind him sweats at the slaughter. Sangyun spins the great sword into a powerful mana vortex, knocking away every arrow. He mocks, "Where do you think you're going?" The archer fires repeatedly, but Sangyun cuts every arrow in half. Watching his ammunition shatter, the archer mutters, "This is insane." Then Sangyun hurls the giant greatsword directly at them. The leader's eyes widen. He threw away his weapon? The orange-haired teammate is equally confused, while Sangyun smirks arrogantly. The leader seizes the opportunity and orders an attack on the supposedly unarmed Sangyun. Sangyun flashes through their blades toward his sword. He grips the hilt, blue eyes shining with killing intent. The orange-haired man roars and attacks. The strike hits empty air. Sangyun has leaped onto the sword's hilt, balancing elegantly above the weapon embedded in the ground. He sighs in relief. The bloodstained greatsword is already driven through another criminal's corpse. The leader grabs the orange-haired teammate from behind and uses him as a living shield against Sangyun's blade. Sangyun questions them coldly. "You're all organ traffickers, aren't you? You certainly aren't cooperating through trust. Your goal must be awakening mana stones through organ transplants." The leader merely smiles, saying he has endured many things. "So what if you know?" The leader attacks, and Sangyun answers, "I was only asking." Ghost Step activates. Sangyun mocks, "I was worried you would bore me to death." The leader is paralyzed for 4.4 seconds. Unable to move, the leader realizes even a tiny cut triggered the absurd stun. Sangyun approaches and declares, "It's over. A murderer and organ trafficker like him deserves no mercy." The words become a death sentence. Memories of his crimes return. He always killed others and led trusting subordinates to death after pretending to encourage them. One subordinate once said, "With you, I can do anything. I trust you." Yet the leader abandoned him despite his desperate pleas. Back in the present, the leader trembles before Sangyun. Sangyun asks mockingly, "You've never experienced this yourself? Are you afraid because now it's your turn?" The battle ends in silence, leaving only dark red trails across the ground. Sangyun sits down, carefully wipes his great sword, and sighs. He still cannot get used to situations like this. Reborn only recently, he wonders whether bloodstained hands have already ruined any chance of becoming a constellation. Then again, those men were no different from monsters. He quickly dismisses the guilt. It was self-defense. Standing up, he looks at the fallen weapons. The system announces that he has acquired 8 relics in this dungeon. Seeing the glowing equipment, Sangyun smiles. His status now shows level 10, the overwhelming strength title, and 11 absorbed relics. His stats, especially strength and agility, have risen dramatically. He wishes the confrontation could have been avoided, but the result was worth it. Based on stats alone, he is now comparable to a level 50 player. His growth after regression is absurdly fast. He takes out a silver recovery ring, capable of instantly removing all abnormal conditions. Remembering the hyena leader's charge, Sangyun shudders. If he had trusted his stun too much, the cleansing artifact could have led to disaster. He resolves to be more careful and begins mana synchronization. Blue light erupts as absorption begins. Elsewhere, something moves along the old rails in a hidden passage of Dungeon 101. A monster stops warily at the sound. Behind it, Sangyun approaches silently with the great sword on his shoulder. Strangely, a black blindfold completely covers his eyes. The title Lucky Day requires killing 500 monsters while blindfolded. Goblins discover the intruder and growl. One glares at him aggressively. Despite the darkness, Sangyun calmly senses the mana from his sword and wonders when they will attack. A goblin approaches with a slimy tongue and sinister grin. "I can feel them." Sangyun focuses every sense on tiny movements and airflow. Mana spreads beneath his feet like ripples, allowing perfect vigilance despite the blindfold. "Found you." A goblin charges with an axe. Sangyun unleashes a powerful vertical slash, dropping monsters one after another with astonishing precision. Then an arrow flies from the darkness. Without seeing it, he catches the arrow inches from his face. Even he is amazed by his reflexes. He realizes he is becoming accustomed to fighting by instinct. The distant goblin archer trembles. The danger has revived his past experience and sharpened his intuition. Facing hundreds of red eyes in the cave, Sangyun raises his sword. "Come at me, bastards." He charges through the horde like a cyclone, killing many goblins instantly. Though blindfolded, he leaves them helpless. One goblin trembles as bodies cover the blackened ground. The system announces level-ups and the D-rank title Lucky Day. It grants luck plus 20 and gradually raises luck when he repeatedly kills the same monster type. Sangyun smiles, pleased to be collecting the titles he needs. Another goblin group approaches. Sangyun is excited rather than afraid. Did you come to give me more stats? Opening his status, he is shocked that luck has climbed to 49. After staring, he bursts into laughter. He sees glittering money in his future. A single title has raised luck enormously and may be worth hundreds of millions or even $1 billion. For the first time, he dreams of buying a house. His joy stops when the surroundings fade and red lightning covers the space. The system announces that 3 constellations have come to find him. 3 mighty beings appear. The purple scorpion pursuer of the fallen dimension, the mysterious white-robed pilgrim of the great expanse, and the elegant goddess of luck. Their simultaneous descent shakes the dungeon. Blood still on his face, Sangyun is stunned that 3 arrived so quickly. Exhausted, he forces a smile. Did you enjoy my performance? The goddess of luck approaches and touches his neck, making him nervous. The system announces that she has taken a liking to him. She says she has never seen such an unusual swordsman. Sangyun laughs awkwardly. Luck? Yes, I am extremely lucky. Everything is going as expected, but murderous pressure appears behind him. The fallen dimension cleaner praises his hidden cruelty. Looking at the grotesque purple monster, Sangyun realizes it has the nature of a typical slaughterer, likely attracted by how quickly he killed the goblins. The pilgrim of the great expanse also expresses curiosity about Sangyun's hidden heart, despite usually appearing only before saintly players. Faced with 3 contradictory choices, Sangyun suspects they may have gathered because of the goddess of luck, who is rumored to have vast relationships among constellations. The goddess says she is not possessive. Sangyun realizes that even after contracting with her, he may sign contracts with other constellations. He is stunned by the advantage. He remembers Hashimedazuki, the miracle archer, whose impossible accuracy, destructive power, and absurd luck led people to suspect cheating. The secret was that Hashimedazuki held contracts with 2 constellations at once, made possible by the goddess of luck. Sangyun now struggles to choose among the 3 beings. The system pressures him to decide. One constellation grows impatient. Sangyun knows the choice will determine his fate. If he refuses, no constellation may approach later. In his previous life, only the late-blooming model student chose a useless man like him, becoming the sole light in his dark life. He remembers trusting that contract and believing his future would shine, only to gain no practical benefit by age 55 because its activation conditions were absurd. Stats doubled only at level 850 and tripled at 900, levels he never approached. Yet that constellation's final sacrifice gave him regression. Gratitude fills him, but he knows there will be no second regression. This is his only final chance. Before divine power, destruction, and luck, Sangyun makes his decision. A dry system bell sounds when his finger confirms the choice. The message appears. You have contracted with the goddess of luck. She smiles with satisfaction. The absolute contract remains active for 30 years even after the player's death. The event shakes the divine world. 15 friendly constellations congratulate him, while 3 hostile ones decide to use their players to obstruct and kill him. Sangyun is shocked by the attention, but reaches out to confirm the fateful contract. Mystical light surrounds them. The first privilege guarantees every attack becomes a critical hit. The second guarantees hidden effects from unique grade or higher artifacts. The third guarantees a 100% artifact drop from stronger mid-bosses or bosses. Sangyun is overwhelmed. Then another effect appears. Every level-up point invested in luck is doubled retroactively. The goddess comforts him, saying he has suffered greatly. She asks what he will do with the other 2 constellations. Sangyun dismisses them and says he will focus on her. The pilgrim leaves politely, while the fallen dimension cleaner threatens to return for his head. The goddess praises Sangyun's resolve. Sangyun smiles thoughtfully. Better opportunities will come. He enters Dungeon 101's final boss room. A fierce battle begins against a giant red-haired monster. Great sword and battle axe collide in showers of sparks while the goddess of luck watches. Sangyun mocks the greedy goblin chief for being weaker than expected. The boss roars. It swings its huge axe with crushing force. Sangyun grits his teeth against the immense pressure. Red killing intent from the boss inflicts weakness and suppression on Sangyun. The system warns that he is fully paralyzed as the monster tries to crush his will. In danger, Sangyun activates recovery. The goblin's crushing strike explodes into dust, but misses him. Sangyun calmly realizes the enemy's skill has limits and cannot completely seal his movement. I found your weakness. Now die. Purple mana surrounds him as he calls upon his luck. Once the debuff is removed, Sangyun counters at terrifying speed. When the boss tries suppression again, he mocks. You think that will work twice? Wind Sword activates and completely paralyzes the goblin chief. Sangyun unleashes brutal slashes. He extends the control with the delay effect, leaving the monster helpless. The goddess of luck's blessing triggers the paralysis a second time with a 90% success rate. Sangyun leans close to the terrified boss and smiles. It succeeded a second time. The goblin chief can only stare in despair before being finished. The giant monster crashes to the ground. The system congratulates Sangyun for clearing the Dark Fairy dungeon. Level up energy surrounds him. He also gains the D-rank title Don't Touch Me, granting luck plus 30, evasion plus 10, and one skill enhancement based on the player system. Though pleased, Sangyun admits that killing the hyenas and clearing the dungeon in one day pushed his body too far. The goddess of luck appears and remarks that luck this terrible must go beyond simple misfortune. Sangyun jokes that it has become a skill. She proudly claims that everything going smoothly is thanks to her. Ignoring her boasting, Sangyun invests more points into luck and pushes it above 100. Crossing that threshold increases related effects by 10%, especially rare item drop rates. At his feet lies a silver shield artifact with the sacrifice effect, granting defense plus 20, converting mana into power, and turning received damage into healing at a huge mana cost. Sangyun smiles because the goddess guaranteed the drop. Excited, Sangyun synchronizes mana with Nice's shield. Blue-purple electricity surrounds it while the goddess of luck hugs him enthusiastically. He thinks this relationship may be even more troublesome than his old constellation. At a mission area near Shu Station, an exhausted female employee stares at him and says, "Impossible." Sangyun tries to explain that he has his reasons. She begs him to reconsider, saying she is about to lose her mind, but he remains firm. I don't even know how many corpses I've seen this week. 2 hours earlier on the Honam Expressway, Sangyun drove while eating rice and kimchi. The absorbed goblin shield had become a simple Korean meal, at least with enough spice to fill his stomach. His old car suddenly shakes violently as warning lights for oil and battery flash. Sangyun wonders whether it is finally time to replace it. He dismisses the thought because moving to a safer home matters more. Low-level players attract criminals, and he remembers enemies waiting even while he slept. He cannot remain constantly alert. He decides to move into a heavily guarded player district and begins planning while looking at the greatsword in the back seat. He should buy used artifacts because they are easier to consume and absorb. Pressure weighs on him. I need money. A lot of money, right now. The Player Association is the only place he can earn that much. Since the player era began, the association has supervised the mission system. Sangyun believes he can trust a regulated system. He drives to the mission area, but the exhausted clerk blocks him. Please choose a dungeon appropriate for your level. Why enter a level 100 zone when you aren't even ranked? Though only level 17, Sangyun insists he will cause no trouble. The clerk bursts into tears, saying someone made the same promise yesterday and never returned. Sangyun understands her trauma, but prepares to insist. A clear female voice asks what is happening. He turns and sees a beautiful purple-haired woman. He recognizes Kim Mi-so, a level 100 A-rank genius of Eden Guild, known as the Slaughtering Divine Archer. She is also the daughter of Kim Yun-cheon, chairman of Divine Biotechnology Group. Under the alias Shadow Assassin, she stands beside national talents such as Shin and swordsman Jin-ho. Mi-so smiles and asks why Sangyun wants a level 100-plus mission. He answers coldly, because it pays well. People whisper at the arrogance of a level 17 rookie speaking to a star. Miso patiently warns that the area is extremely difficult. Sangyun says he knows. Greater risk brings greater reward, and he is not acting emotionally. In his previous life, he once begged to join Miso's party and was rejected. He insists this is not revenge. Miso then points out that association law forbids solo missions. Sangyun realizes that restriction will not be lifted for 4 more years. Caught, Sangyun laughs awkwardly and prepares to leave. Miso smiles and makes an unexpected proposal. Would you like to form a party with me? Sangyun freezes while the other players go mad with jealousy. Suspicious, Sangyun asks for the condition. Miso says she trusts situations more than people. There is no condition, only a promise. If his skill does not match his confidence, he must pay the proper price. If he proves himself, she will sincerely apologize. Sangyun understands that this is a test. Miso's influence can destroy a player's career with one negative label. Sangyun nevertheless smiles decisively. Then let's go now. 10 minutes earlier, Miso had dismissed her suited attendant and sighed that all guild members were busy, forcing her to find a party herself. An association employee greeted her while Sangyun continued arguing over the minimum party rule. Miso found the self-confident player interesting because no one knew whether he truly had ability. She asks which mission Sangyun wants. The screen shows a defense mission requiring them to eliminate every monster attacking a protection tower. If the core is destroyed, they fail. The mission contains 300 wolf-type monsters, recommends level 100, and pays 500 million won. Miso is stunned that Sangyun planned to do it alone. A simulation shows that an ordinary player would quickly die. The situation is extremely difficult. While Miso considers how he will respond, Sangyun casually asks, "Are you scared?" Both women stare in disbelief. He explains she became silent, so he wondered whether she was worried. Irritated by his arrogance, Miso presses the acceptance button. Blue electricity surrounds them as the mission begins, and spatial transfer activates. The employee can only hope Michigan, so will keep everything safe. Nearby players debate whether Sangyun can succeed. Some say a level 17 player cannot fight level 100 monsters, while others trust Miso's judgment and mention the association's new ranking system. The system was created because level alone no longer accurately measures strength. Ranking requires 2 conditions: the number of cleared dungeons and an overall evaluation of practical combat sense. Kim Miso reached a rank through exceptional combat sense, though even stronger S and SS monsters remain above her. All analysis ends when Sangyun and Miso vanish in the transfer light. The remaining players howl in jealousy. Night falls over the towering defense structure as purple lightning announces the mission, Knight of the Wolf Pack. From above, Miso observes and believes words must carry responsibility. If danger becomes real, she will help, but she hopes the experience will teach Sangyun his limits. 30 minutes earlier, Sangyun had demanded that she not interfere until asked and even offered her 5% for support. Miso insisted that at least 300 monsters were too many for him alone, even for a level 100 player. Sangyun only says, "Watch and see." Miso accepts, but warns that every escaped monster will subtract 1% from his share. Sangyun draws the enormous greatsword as blue wolves with glowing purple eyes emerge. Unfortunately, none will escape. A wolf charges, but Sangyun kills it with one flash of his blade. Miso gasps. He moves through the pack like a cyclone, sweeping away every enemy. Listening to their cries, Sangyun jokes that they sound surprisingly cute. Miso realizes he is not merely arrogant. Every strike is perfect, using the greatsword's reach to kill multiple enemies with minimal movement. She compares him to Jin Ho, her guild's top swordsman. Despite his skill, Miso worries about the overwhelming numbers surrounding a level 17 player. Then she notices his confident smile and senses something unusual. Ghost Step activates, freezing the wolves in place. Miso gasps. A stun? She realizes the effect lasts 4 seconds, longer than those of many high-level swordsmen. Sangyun can leisurely control and erase the monsters. Miso wonders what kind of monster he is. He slams a crushing blow into the ground, creating a massive explosion that scatters the wolves. Sangyun smiles when the true enemy finally appears. a gigantic black wolf with red eyes. The system announces that the black wolf has stunned Sangyun with the same status effect he often uses. From above, Miso receives a message that her artifact protected her from the stun. She blames herself for watching too closely and forgetting the danger. Preparing to fight, she realizes how foolish it was to think she could teach him a lesson. She cannot understand how Sangyun obtained such a powerful stun. Meanwhile, recovery completely removes the debuff from him. Miso is convinced by his perfect sword stance, long stun, and easy cleansing despite being only level 17. Sangyun smiles at the confused black wolf. Surprised, he flashes forward and attacks before it can react. He delivers a devastating finishing blow that stuns the black wolf. Even without another special skill, the giant monster crashes down. Standing over it, Sangyun clicks his tongue at the blood on his clothes. Looking down with cold blue eyes, he thinks, since it's already like this, should I make an even bigger mess? Watching from afar, So can only admire him. One monster remains to complete the 300 targets, and Sangyun's level rises rapidly among piles of wolf corpses. The system grants the title Fearless Courage, providing complete resistance to wolf race roar effects. Sensing killing intent, Sangyun turns for the finale. From the tower, So watches him amid purple spirits. Sangyun realizes all earlier doubt has vanished, and everyone is now evaluating his true ability. Knowing he has an audience, he refuses to rest. A gigantic shadow and threatening growl appear behind him. Sangyun challenges, "Are you ready, Grey Wolf?" The final boss, the Werewolf Lord, emerges and unleashes a thunderous howl. He mocks its famously unpredictable attacks. Clinging to a tall pillar, Sangyun says that 30 years later, every one of its movements has been analyzed and is now easy to predict. He dives from above with a thunderous strike and follows with brutal slashes, cutting off every attempt to resist. "I know all your movements and skills." Even with fear resistance and foreknowledge, Sangyun admits a level 100 plus boss remains difficult. So is stunned by how many impossible things surround him, especially his luck.